Hi, welcome back. I'm Scotty for ScottiesTech.Info, here with my co-host Cletus, who unfortunately has laryngitis. So the topic for today is, dude, your email's been hacked. And I'm a system administrator for various web servers and mail servers, and this is something that comes up a lot with email users. So I thought maybe I should actually explain a little bit about how certain spamming techniques work, because there are a lot of misconceptions, and I think it'll kind of maybe help people to understand, first of all, just how evil spammers are, and second of all, when they should freak out and when they should not freak out. So, right. So basically, first of all, email is not secure at all. I know everyone thinks that it's secure, and if everything was implemented properly, and if all the standards were adhered to, and by standards I mean the way that email is supposed to be exchanged from one server to the other, using TLS, using blah blah blah, configuring settings for mail servers like postfix and exim correctly. Most of the time that doesn't happen. Actually, some settings for mail servers, you cannot actually set them to the secure settings, because if you do, the actual documentation tells you that your mail server will be unable to talk to a large percentage of the other mail servers out there. So basically, until everyone decides to play ball, email will continue to be inherently insecure, even if you're using TLS and encryption between your mail client and the server. Of course, if you're using PGP or some other kind of end-to-end encryption, sure, then you're relatively safe. Anyway, but what I really wanted to talk about today was what happens when, say, you have an email account, and you have a friend, Debbie, who has an email account, and you have a friend, Johnny, who has an email account. Now, naturally, your email address and Debbie's email address are in Johnny's address book, and Johnny and Debbie's email IDs are in your address book, blah, blah, blah. Everyone has everyone's email address, right? Makes sense. So what happens when, let's say Johnny's, either his email account, if it's, say webmail or something, or possibly even his computer, if he's using a mail client like Thunderbird or, Mac Mail, whatever. Maybe his computer's hacked, maybe just his email account is hacked. Some hacking occurs, and Johnny's address book gets into the hands of evil spammers. So you'd think that what would happen is the spammers would go, oh, well, we have access to Johnny's account, so now we're going to send a bunch of spam mail from Johnny to everyone in his address book and everyone else that, to their whole mailing list, so to speak. But that's actually not what happens most of the time. What they do much of the time is they hack Johnny's account, they get his address book, and then because they have Debbie's email address, and because they have your email address, suddenly Debbie, they fake emails coming from Debbie to you and to everyone else. And then what happens is everyone starts replying to Debbie, bombarding her with emails saying, oh my God, Debbie, your account's been hacked, your computer's been hacked, it's the end of the world! And everybody freaks out. And it's total genius, because actually, it's Johnny's computer that was hacked. Johnny doesn't even run a malware scan, he doesn't do anything. And of course, Debbie's sitting there freaking out, going, oh my God, I'm so sorry everyone, I blah, 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 I use all this anti-malware, and all this other stuff. When the fact is, it wasn't Debbie's account that was hacked, it was Johnny's account. They got his address book, and they send mail from someone in Johnny's address book to everybody else in his address book for a while. Then they'll send mail from Billy Bob, who's also in Johnny's address book, to everyone else in his address book, and to potentially other people's address books. So this makes it very difficult to actually determine whose account has actually been hacked, whose computer has actually been hacked, and that's kind of the point. Of course, there's very technical ways to figure out if you have one of these spam mails. You can look at the mail headers, and you can see that requires kind of a deeper knowledge of like how mail servers and how does mail exchange actually work at a deeper, more technical level? And like that's kind of, it seems simple. It's not. Trust me. So basically, the thing you should do is always keep this in mind, because also a spammer can send a mail that appears to come from you, but it didn't actually come from you. Now, like I said earlier, if everybody were configuring their mail servers properly and had things like SPF records and DKIM and DMARC and all these crazy anti-spam mail server verification gizmos all set up properly, this would not be possible. But of course, everyone doesn't do that. That's a problem. Also, spammers actually work by... Spammers are kind of like, they use the Amazon principle. They go with volume. So if I'm a spammer and I send 1 million emails out, I may even be faking emails from you, from Debbie to you. Debbie had nothing to do with it. Her account wasn't even touched. If the receiving server is not smart enough, it may accept the mail. It may be blah, blah, blah. Who knows? It should be rejected because the receiving mail server, i.e. if the spammer sends a mail from Debbie to you, your mail server should actually be smart enough to know, hey, that was Debbie at blah, blah, blah. I can see that that mail didn't come from Debbie at blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, let's put that in spam folder instead of delivering it to you. That doesn't always happen. But I was going to say that the spammers go by volume. So if they send 1 million emails out and they're faking everything, it doesn't matter if half those emails never even make it anywhere. Say, if even only 200,000 of those mails actually are actually delivered, and if only 50 or 100 people actually click the link for the malware or the Algerian blah 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 scheme or whatever, if a tiny number of people actually click and they lose money, they get malware, they whatever, then the spammers have won. And the way that they do this oftentimes is they have basically botnets, and every time they hack a computer or a server or something, they're actually using those various servers as part of their botnet to send lots and lots of mail out. And this is also how they ruin the email reputation of other people, of other servers. Anyway, that's all getting a little complicated, but the point is that the next time this happens, oh my God, Debbie, your account's been hacked. Hang on. It could be you've been hacked, it could be Debbie's been hacked, it could be Johnny's been hacked. So basically everyone should very calmly run a malware scan, run an antivirus scan, change passwords, just to be on the safe side. If there's the whole, what do they call it, the two-factor authentication, use that just to make sure that nobody's, screwing around with your account. And then once you've done all that, carry on with your day. Don't freak out, and always keep in mind that these things are a lot more complicated than they seem. And that's just one trick that spammers use. So anyway, hope you found that helpful. And if you want more tech tips, check out my website, ScottiesTech.Info. See you next time.